Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone. We hope everyone is keeping safe in the current COVID-19 scenario. Thank you everyone for joining us. Today's discussion is centered around the draft order of banning 27 pesticides and the industry as well as the government perspective around it. I believe today's discussion will give us a broader understanding and a concrete roadmap to approach this issue. I'll take a minute to introduce you to the organizers of the event. The event is jointly organized by Krashak Jagat and PMFAI. Krashak Jagat, India's first agriculture newspaper, started publication in 1946. It's a farmer-centric agriculture newspaper which empowers farmer with the right information. It's one of the largest circulating newspaper among the farming community and is awarded by ICAR for agriculture journalism. I am Nimish Gangrade, representing Krashak Jagat today. Our co-host PMFAI, Pesticide Manufacturers and Formulators Association of India. It represents over 250 India-based pesticide manufacturers, formulators, and traders. PMFAI provides legislative, regulatory, and legal support to the member companies for expansion of their off-patent and generic agriculture technologies among the farmers in India. We have the chairman, Mr. Pradeep Dave, Chairman PMFAI, here with us. Giving a bit of background on the issue here today to our audience, the Ministry of Agriculture, keeping in view the well-being of human and animal, had issued a draft notification on 14th May, intending to ban 27 pesticides, which are considered harmful. On the other hand, we also have to consider the farmers' dependency on these pesticides, which are widely used and most of them do not yet have an alternative. Looking at the farmers' dependency on these pesticides and the industry, the government has given an extended period of 90 days for the industry to submit their objections and suggestions. Our today's objective of the conference is to understand both the perspectives, the government and the agrochemical industry. We will also be going through the historical background of the draft order, current scenario, and ultimately closing on industry's way forward. Our chief guest, keynote speaker for today, Dr. Malhotra, the Agriculture Commissioner, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, is yet to join us. We would continue with our session, moving on to the historical background of the draft order. To start our session today, it is utmost important to understand the historical background of the draft order. Our speaker is an agriculture scientist with a combined experience of 4 decades in the field of science and business together. Dr. Ajit Kumar is the Principal Technical Advisor to UPL Limited. He is a well-known authority in the field of product development and regulatory affairs, has successfully introduced many new generation molecules in India. Apart from his assignment in UPL as Principal Technical Advisor, Dr. Ajit Kumar is also the Chairman of Technical Committee, Crop Care Federation of India, CCFI. Dear sir, I invite you to share your insights with us.
Thank you so much. I'm so very happy to be part of this deliberation. I have given the job to tell you the historical background of the proposed ban of these 27 pesticides. You see what happened in year 2008. A Rajya Sabha MP and the Minister of State for Chemicals and Fertilizers, Mr. B.K. Handik, informed the Rajya Sabha that there are 66 pesticides which are banned in 1 or 2 or more countries, and they are used in India. And with that, he also said that they are used in many countries of the world. Now, what happened due to selective media publicity, the whole statement was not captured, that these products are being used in many countries of the world, though they are banned in 1 or 2 countries. Based on that, our regulators were prompted to prepare this list of 66 pesticides. And the title of the review process of the 66 pesticides was given, the list of 66 pesticides which are banned in 1 or 2 or more countries, but are still used in India. Now, this use of still, which was not in reference anywhere, was added somewhere, and it changed the connotation of the entire process. That is, if the product is banned by 1 or 2 or more countries, it has to be banned in India. Now, with this background, in 2013, government set up a committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Anupam Verma. Basically, this committee was meant to review the neonicotinoids pesticides, but it was assigned the job to complete the review of these 66 pesticides, and it was given some timeline of, I think, 3 months or 6 months to complete. But the committee could not complete the review process. It took several extensions, and ultimately the committee submitted the report somewhere in December 2015, and within 10 days, registration committee further reviewed these products and endorsed the recommendations of Dr. Anupam Verma committee, plus it also added certain recommendations of its own without hearing the industry. Now, as a consequence of this recommendation, it recommended to ban 18 pesticides. And then second, it recommended some studies for 27 pesticides whose review should be done in 2018 once again. And rest of the products were supposed to be continued. Now, what happened was that whereas these 18 pesticides have been banned, the first set of recommendations was completed through a Gazette notification. There was no official information as to what studies has to be conducted and how they have to be conducted, etc., etc. And therefore, wherever there was a question of how the industry studies will be conducted, the registration committee said that there will be protocol which will be approved by the registration committee. So there was some kind of dialogue which was supposed to take place between industry and the registration committee. In the meantime, there was some confusion in some section of the industry that this is the confirmation of the minutes of the registration committee. This is not the order of the government. And they were still waiting the order to come out. Few industry people conducted some study, few did not initiate the study, waiting for the order, etc., etc., and there was utter confusion. Now, whereas the industry and CIB was engaged in the deliberations on the protocol, on the conduct of a study, etc., etc., government came with the draft notification and called this draft order to ban all these 27 products and gave several reasons. Some of these reasons were drawn out of the registration committee, and some of the decisions that it gave, reasons that it gave, was neither recommended by Anupam Verma committee nor by registration committee. Government by themselves said there are certain issues. I'll take one example. Let's take, for example, acephate. The first thing the order states is that there are reports that this product is endocrine disruptor in public domain. Now, this particular thing was neither said by registration committee nor said by Anupam Verma committee. So it was their own creation. Second thing it said that do the endocrine disruptor study as per registration committee recommendation. And the next sentence it says in the same order that there is no report in public domain that acephate is an endocrine disruptor. Next, it says that it should be banned because it is an OP compound, organophosphorus compound, etc., etc. The point which I am trying to raise here is that the information, the way it should have come, did not come. For example, if it is said that in public domain, it is reported that it is an endocrine disruptor, this also should have seen the EPA website of USA, Environment Protection Agency's website in USA, and found out that a study has been done and it has confirmed that acephate is not an endocrine disruptor. What happened that for all this information, a website called PAN, Pesticides Action Network, was dependent. Now it's an NGO. It runs on the funding, private funding. We have got a lot of credible sites which give information about the status of these pesticides that was not consulted, etc., etc. So this gave rise to a lot of debate and discussion that what is this question you are asking? And this is the final question. It has come by an order. So it has superseded all the Anupam Verma report and all the registration committee report, etc., etc. And what happened that this draft order also mentioned of certain order dated 14th October 2016 that the recommendation of registration committee has been accepted. That means till 14 October 2016, recommendation of registration committee was not accepted. So the suspicion of some section of the industry which said that there is not an order, there has to be an order, and there was an order. And this order, till now, nobody knows. It's not in public domain. Whose order it was, for whom it was meant, nobody knows. Now, industry has filed an RTI, some 40 days are over, and there is no trace of government telling that here is the order. So there is a complete lack of transparency. Now, transparency is the central issue in the whole process of the review of these 27 products, because till today, the industry does not know what is the Anupam Verma committee report. Industry does not know what is the registration committee report, etc., etc. And now there is an order and we do not know what is the order. Even assuming there is an order that dates 14 October 2016, and you are asking someone to do efficacy studies and residue studies, etc., etc. You know, these studies have got their own time period. If we go by the regulation of registration process, we have to give 2 years by efficacy data. So if order has been issued on 14th October 2016, the study itself is completed by October 2018, whereas deadline for submission as per registration committee was set by December 2017. So you can see there is a lot of disconnect. And because of disconnect, the confusion was created. The industries gave data in bits and pieces. As on today, 90% of the data has already been submitted. We are not questioning the kind of information you are asking. I mean, if you go into the details of this draft order, it is so surprising to see that, I mean, if you have to answer these questions, for example, in thiophenate methyl, it says that submit bioefficacy data, that is the effect on earthworm. Now, what efficacy data has to do with the effect of on the earthworm. So these are the things which raise the question, as if the whole thing has been done in so much of hurry, as if the decision to ban these pesticides was already taken, and then you're supplementing with some of the reasons that it is OP compound. Tell me, where is the law to ban OP compound? How can you come selectively just to target a particular pesticide? You are saying that you will do study as per approved protocol. You don't approve the protocol. Take the case of Mancozeb. Now this study was to be done by 3 medical colleges. 1 medical college submitted the studies. 2 medical colleges do not agree with the protocol approved by the registration committee. They are writing letters to the registration committee. Now whose job is to respond it and close it so that the study can be initiated? Obviously registration committee. It did not happen. Despite industry's persuasion, writing letters after letters. And then the product is banned because the study did not take place. So I'm making a point to tell you that the whole thing needs to be relooked afresh, and the draft order itself has to be corrected. And then whatever genuine data you want, industry is ever ready to give you that data, provided there is a scientific proof to your question. Whatever questions you are asking, there should be some reason, there should be some logic. And if there is some reason, some logic, definitely industry will be behind it and submit the data. Now, the situation right now is that industry has taken all this data submission by all seriousness. We are submitting our response to this draft notification. And on this, couple of days ago, we had a meeting with the Agriculture Minister, Shri Honorable Narendra Singh Tomar ji. He heard us. We told him, sir, you are asking this 45 days to respond to a question, which is a big question, and we do not know what is the background of this question. We have filed an RTI. We have not got the answer so far, and therefore extend the time. He readily agreed to this. We said, sir, you have banned the export also along with this. And he found a reason. He said, yes, we'll look into it. And now he has opened up the export. And one very good thing he said that government has no intention to trouble anybody. It just happened that he was told, minister was told, that since 5 years the industry is not giving data, and therefore we have banned these products. You have to give data. So we have given data. 90% data is already there. We are submitting our response. There could be some slips. There are few studies which are held up because of the protocol related issues with the registration committee. Answer them. We'll give you data, and you can review the whole thing in a very, very sympathetic way. So, sir, the point is, and I'm closing my statements, my talk, whatever I had to say, by saying that industry is all serious to give all data. 90% data has already been submitted. There could be some lapses that we can sit across, clear the points on the protocol, etc., and request the government to please clear these products, because these are the products by which cultivation of certain crops cannot be think of. Let's take, for example, Mancozeb. You cannot think of cultivating potato when there is a attack of late blight. You look forward for Mancozeb. You cannot grow grapes, for example. You look for Mancozeb. Mancozeb is like a pillar to several latest molecules, so-called latest technology. And this Mancozeb is working like a pillar around which this new technology, works. So by banning 27 pesticides, actually you have banned 130 products. By banning Mancozeb, just alone Mancozeb, you have banned 18 products which use Mancozeb to make their product more efficacious, resistant proof, and make it very, very broad spectrum. So with that, I close my historical remark and give back the mic to you, Nimish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. You have very strongly put your views. It gives us a holistic picture of the draft order on how it started and what are the repercussions that we are going to see if we move ahead, if the government moves ahead with it. Your technical analysis gave us a very scientific structure and the industry's way of seeing the draft order and why has there been a very strong opposition against the order. We will do the next session, which gives us a perspective about the draft order and its impact on the agrochemical manufacturing industry in India. Mr. Pradeep Dave, President of Pesticides Manufacturers Formulators Association of India, PMFAI. Mr. Dave comes with a 4.5 decade of experience and insight of the agrochemical business. He is also the chairman of AMCO Pesticides. Mr. Dave, I would like you to invite you to share us how the draft order will impact the agrochemical industry in India.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of PMFI, I thank eminent speakers of today, Dr. S.K. Malhotra, Dr. C.D. Mai, and industry colleague, Mr. Rajesh Agarwal, Dr. Ajit Kumar, Dr. Samir Dave, and all participants in the web conference. My special thanks to Nimish Gangarde and Krishik Jagat. You all are aware the reason for organizing this web conference is due to Ministry of Agriculture's draft notification dated 14th May, which proposed the ban of 27 generic pesticides. The ban order has come as a shock to the time when the industry is facing a challenging time due to the COVID-19 and the lockdown and the locust attack in various parts of the country. India is the fourth largest producers of agrochemicals in the world. Production of US, Japan, China, with the total production of pesticide over 42,000 crore, out of which pesticide worth 22,000 crores plus exported to the global market. Thus, India is not net exporter of agrochemical pesticides, which is mainly due to the upper hand. India has the genetic pesticide segment and the quality maintained by the Indian company. The Gazette notification banning 27 generic pesticide formulation has sent a wrong signal to the global generic pesticide market, which is causing a great damage to the Indian agrochemical manufacturers and exporters. Business are likely to cause a loss of valuable foreign exchange for the nation. India and China are the major producers and supplier of generic pesticide in the global market. Global export market for generic pesticides is over 30,000 crore. Export from India cannot survive without the domestic production and consumption. The 27 generic pesticide proposed to ban is a ban order will lose faith in importing countries on export from Indian agrochemical companies. If this 27 pesticide ban in the country, India will lose the entire export market to China. The 27 generic pesticide proposed to be banned accounts over almost 30% of domestic market and 50% export from India. Most important, the ban would severely limit the pest control choice available to the Indian farmers in many crop pest segments. The ban of 27 molecules technical grade pesticide will result in removal of 130 generic pesticide formulation from the market, which will hit crores of poor farmers in the country who rely on this most reasonably priced generic pesticide for protecting their crops from pests and diseases, and forcing them to buy highly priced imported and patented alternative products, ready-made pesticide formulation from foreign. This generic pesticide formulation currently used by farmers cost farmers around 250 to 450 per kg, which most affordable cost to the farmer. If they are banned, the replacement product will cost at the range of 1,200 to 2,000 rupees per kg, which will not be affordable to the farmers. Many states like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra are already facing a serious locust attack. One of the most important factors, which also to be noted, that 27 insecticides proposed to be banned include pesticides like chlorpyrifos, deltamethrin, malathion, quinalphos, and phenetothione recommended by Government of India and FAO for most threatening locust control. The prohibition of 27 products will also lead a massive shortage of pesticides and will leave all major crops exposed to the pest and disease with no economically viable crop protection alternative available. As a result, it would impact agriculture yield and income of the farmers. The proposed ban, if imposed, the farmers all over the country will be deprived of cost-effective choices. The small land holding and poor farmers of 1 to 1.5 acre will most hit by the decision. Uh, this gazette notification has given a very wrong message to the global generic pesticide market. The importing countries are now asking Indian manufacturers if these products are going to be banned, why should we register made in India generic product in our country? And they are looking towards China. Government should take immediate decision in the matter and see that this confusion is this confusion is to be removed. Our Honorable Prime Minister and government is promoting policies to promote Make in India and Atmanirbhar, which facilitate doubling the farmers' income by providing them the crop protection solution at most affordable price. But above action by Ministry of Agriculture to ban 27 generic pesticides can lead to a closure of Indian generic pesticide industries, especially MSME, who are main drivers of Indian economy and major employment provider to the Indian citizen. PMFI has made an appeal to the government of India to keep the ban order in abeyance and appoint high level scientific expert committee to revisit and process the review report and recommendation of Dr. Verma committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dave. You have set a clear picture of what will be the scenario if the draft order moves ahead. It would wipe off a huge set of crop protection molecules, I should say, rather than agrochemicals, crop protection molecules with no alternatives in place, which would largely leave the farming community with no alternatives. Now, without knowing the industry perspective of how the Indian agrochemical scenario, the Indian industries would work, the session would remain incomplete. Mr. Rajesh Agrawal, I would now like to invite. He is the Managing Director of Insecticide India Limited, a listed agrochemical manufacturing company. He is among the top 5 players in the agrochemical manufacturing segment and is one of the most aggressive agrochemical firm. Under his leadership, IIL has invested heavily in R&D, including new product development, biological research, and development of new formulations. Mr. Rajesh Agrawal will take us through the impact of the draft order on domestic as well as the export front.
Thank you very much, Nimesh. Again, thank to give me the chance to speak on this platform. So first of all, for the regulator, that the key mission of all of us who are present in this conference and who are not present is the food security of the nation. And as the goal of the nation is towards the prosperity of the farmer, all of us are working in the same direction. Today, we look at the world market. More than 65% of the total market, which stands to about 65 billion, is the generic market, which means that these generic molecules are prospering not only in the country, but in the entire world. And today, as the speakers before me have said, that if we are challenging these 27 products, we are challenging 27 mode of actions, and the number of products which are getting impacted are as high as 130, which constitutes more than 25 to 30% of the market share. And it is not only the domestic market share, but it is also the export market share. The important point is that these generic products are very broad spectrum, and they are widely used by our farmer, including the small and marginal farmers. And they are available, I can say, cheapest in the world to our farmer, which means that he has been using these products for decades. The efficacy is good, the efficiency is good, and I don't think, I have not seen any reports which are challenging the usage of these products. I mean to say that we have not seen any reports showing the bad impacts of most of these products, because initially there was a challenge on certain red triangle products. But today, if we look at this order, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, red, blue, green, all yellow triangle, everything is challenged here in this order. Today, when the Prime Minister talks of Make in India, he talks of self-reliance. Here, I feel the self-reliance itself is challenged. If we look at the MSME sector, particularly the mid-size and the small-size companies, so most of these companies are highly dependent on the generic molecules, because they are the products which they are selling, because most of them, they don't have the access towards the new generation molecules. So if these products goes, then most of these companies are wiped out. And at the same time, the farmer who is getting the cheaper solutions will have to move away from affordable, cheaper solutions. And here I would like to say that of late, India has developed the strength in manufacturing most of these molecules. And these economic molecules are, in a way, a barrier for the entry. These molecules are, in a way, a barrier for some of the new products which may come at an expensive price, and somewhere they are stopping, or I'll not say use the word stopping, but they are slowing the entry and for them to capture the market share. So sometimes it looks that for some vested interest, these type of decisions are being taken. I'll also highlight some more scientific facts. As said, that industry has generated a lot of data, about 85 to 90%, and it has been submitted in bits and pieces. And now, since we are given a chance again, so we are again going to submit most of the data to the government. So different committees have always added more requirements from the industry, and we have tried to gather as much data as possible, and we are going to present it. And here I would like to comment again that industry is trying to work, trying to provide the data in entirety, whatever is feasible. So we are with the government, and today, if we look at this order, as government is showing, has mentioned PAN at many places. So here I would like to say that it has not used this extension services. This I can say because a lot of scientific bodies which we have approached, and they have issued letters to the ministry. They have given the letters to continue the usage of these products, looking at the wide control which these products have. And today I would also raise certain questions that, number one, how many generic or new generation TIM registrations or film registrations has the RC issued in last decade? So there has been no focus on allowing the new products to be made in India, and it has been very, very slow process in the entire decade. We have seen some speed coming now, but from the recent RC meeting minutes, which we received yesterday, I'm afraid that it is again going to slow down, because it reads that if the product registration is not granted, even if it is cleared, it should be stopped till our CIB-RC has the NMR report. So you don't have the NMR. How will you issue the registration? This means the Make in India is again challenged actually. So again, second question is that organic is not the solution. Had organic been a solution, then Europe, US, Japan, other countries would have been fully organic. but they are not. And today, if the team is encouraged, if these products goes on, it's a competitive market. People in the competitive market get better pricing, better product. Automatically, it is controlled. So government has shown keenness many times that how can they control the price? I say that if the market has the competition, if the generic products are there, the price is itself controlled. Last question I was going to raise about glyphosate because it has again come recently, but I know it is on 27, but this 28th project is very, very important. For glyphosate, I would like to say that very recently, the Honorable Agriculture Minister in the Parliament mentioned about glyphosate, that it is being widely used and the carcinogenic effects are not there, and the industry has given most of the data already. Then this order of operating it through PCOs is very surprising. Does India have the infrastructure in the field of agriculture to do it through PCOs? Many states like Andhra and Telangana have challenged this for seeds because they are using herbicide tolerant seeds. So they could not control the seed. They are trying to control it through glyphosate. Very bad aspect. So I would say that you have to punish A, but instead, because you cannot punish A, you are trying to punish B. So why don't you challenge the companies which brought this herbicide tolerant seed, and why are you trying to challenge the pesticide? This is again a question mark. The same is happening everywhere. So in my opinion, this industry should get time. The approach should be more transparent and should be with more trust, where the industry and the department both can join together and generate most of the data. And I believe that if with this approach, the things are followed, then definitely we should be able to submit 100% data for most of the products and would be able to save these products. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh ji, for giving us your projected glimpse of what will be the impact of this draft order. You have given us a clear insight that the industry is ready to work with the government and share all necessary data that is required. As you suggested, farmers may have to move to a more expensive alternative. This may again move the cost of cultivation a bit higher. You've also placed your concern regarding the glyphosate, the recent issue that has come in. I'm sure we will be having another platform to discuss that issue in depth. Let me move on to our next session. Seeing more on the regulatory front, our next speaker of the day is a renowned cotton scientist whose contribution to the Indian agriculture is well known, Dr. C.D. Mai. He is currently serving as the president of South Asia Biotechnology Center, SABC New Delhi. He is also the chairman of AFC India Limited, formerly known as Agriculture Finance Corporation of India, Mumbai. He also served as the chairman of Agriculture Scientist Recruitment Board, ASRB, and has held the position of Agriculture Commissioner, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. Dr. Mai holds more than 200 scientific publications in journals and has been awarded on multiple platforms for his contribution in Indian agriculture development. Today, Dr. Mai will give us an insight about the draft order from the regulatory perspective.
Friends, first of all, let me welcome all those industry people who have joined. It's a very excellent webinar that you have organized. While we are discussing about industry perspective on the draft order, I am happy that my successor, I think Dr. Malhotra, is also likely to participate. And I have all friends like Ajit Kumar, Pradeep ji, Rajesh Agrawal, Sabir, and yourself, Nimish, you are all participating. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे ही कोविड की 19 की महामारी शुरू हुई है, वैसे ही यहाँ हमारे पेस्टिसाइड सेक्टर में गवर्नमेंट ने मारामारी शुरू कर दी है। मार्च महीने में देखो नया पेस्टिसाइड बिल राज्यसभा में आ गया, उससे जिसमें ऐसे प्रावधान रखे हैं कि अच्छे आदमी के लिए इस क्षेत्र में बिजनेस करना मुश्किल होने वाला है। तो अभी देखिए इन्होंने now the ministry has brought this dreaded order where the 27 pesticide in bulk has already been banned. So अभी इन्होंने they have already brought this order and we had several kind of seminars we organized on these issues. Actually, if you see, there are maximum people who are affected, industry, farmers, many of the stakeholders who are responsible. Only who are happy to bring that. It is only some environmentalists are talking about that, okay, this is a very good order. But in fact, everybody has claimed that this is already a biggest mistake that the government has done. And now they have brought a bombshell. अभी ये जैसे राजेश अग्रवाल ने बताया है कि अभी ये बॉम्बशेल डाल दिया कि ग्लाइफोसेट ला लिया. ग्लाइफोसेट की वजह से अभी क्या है कि ये पॉपुलर हेर्बिसाइड है. आप एचटीबीटी वालों को जो सीड प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं उनको तो आप यू आर नॉट एबल टू हार्म देम. सो द बेस्ट वे इज यू हार्म द व्हाट वी कॉल इट एज द पेस्टिसाइड. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हमारी सरकार जैसे बॉर्डर पर चाइना के साथ लड़ रही है, अंदर से अभी ये पेस्टिसाइड रोकने के कदम जो है ये जोरों से चल रहे हैं. Anyway, I think at more than 25 standard articles have already appeared. Even some of these articles I have contributed to some standard journals, and I think government will take notice of all those them where there are several representations have been made. And जैसे अजीत कुमार ने बताया है कि it was a lot of in hurry. It appeared that the order was already prepared and they wanted to support. मुझे तो एक ताजुब लगा कि in some order like in case of Bhavist in carbendazim, उन्होंने मेरे कविता का रेफरेंस दिया है. I was surprised. Actually, when I looked back and got those papers of my committee report, we have never recommended any ban for carbendazim in 2006 when the review was done. So it appears that some hurriedly prepared draft was made. And that's why I think the best course is that the industry should really come together and fight. My some 5 points I would like to just say that what the ban will really wipe out nearly 150 formulated products. That's why these Dave's organization should really be very careful about, because it will reduce the choice of farmers and there will be a lot of monopoly and the farmers will have a cost escalation period. The second is industry will lose nearly 9,600 crore rupees business on account of production. Now it is also sale and export both of way, and the nation will lose precious foreign exchange and which pave the way to more Chinese imports. Because what will happen is the gap, if it is totally the order is done, the gap will be filled by more illegal material from China or some other country. So the basis of the bans are also not very tenable. Like socio-economic study has not been done. Resistance, residue, resurgence problem of alternative chemicals which they have indicated have not been examined. And also no studies on the seed industry usage has also been done. This draft order should be actually, to me, it should have been dropped instead of any discussion on them. And they should have appointed another committee instead of Verma committee's comments. They should have another committee and looked into all those aspects. If we want to be Atmanirbhar, then it is better that we should actually allow these industry to flourish. These are some of my comments because already I think majority of you have already said many things. So I would like to thank with this. Hope you are able to listen. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate in your seminar. Kindly read some of my articles which are already published in standard newspapers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. You were perfectly audible throughout your speech. You have put a complete picture for the audience to understand the current scenario. You have also shared the insight of some participation of external agencies, absence of socio-economic studies, and lack of study on the alternative molecules. This gives us a holistic perspective. We have received a message from Dr. Malhotra's office that he will be joining in. He is in a meeting with the minister and he will be joining us. That assurance his office has given us. Now, moving on to the next session, we have to look at the global perspective on how the people outside India, the industries outside India look at India. Mr. Sameer Dave, he is the director at Emco Pesticides. He is also the founding member and the president of AgroCare. AgroCare is a global association registered at Belgium, representing the generic crop production industry, the largest generic crop production industry association in the world. Mr. Sameer, you can move ahead with the session.
I am Sameer Dave. I am current president of AgroCare. AgroCare is a global association established in 2008 with headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, representing manufacturers of generic pesticides, with members from 4 regional associations from South America, Europe, India, and China, representing more than 850 generic pesticide manufacturing companies. At global level, Agrocare consolidate its members' interests at WHO, WTO, FAO, CPAC by intervening on their behalf to ensure that new global procedure, regulations, guidance do not create any specific hurdle for generic manufacturers. So we are in close cooperation with the regional member association and their industry members. And Agrocare always internationally advocates achieving feasible rules for establishing equivalence of active substance and products. At the same time, maintaining high quality standards and lowering barriers for introduction of generic competition to offer farmers around the world benefit of free competition after patents have expired and help in food security of the third world countries. Agrocare amplifies the voice of generic manufacturers who run into anti-competitive regulations, barriers, bans, and speak on their behalf. So the current ban order repeatedly says about the product is banned in US, EU, etc. So we decided to study how the pesticide reviews are carried out in EU and USA. As a global organization's president, I have observed very closely how the pesticide reviews are conducted in Europe and other OECD countries, where the pesticide reviews are very natural phenomena of the products. Most of the products are regularly reviewed based on some new scientific concern, evidences, or user complaints. So it is based on very specific concerns, issues, not FSR. So the reviews are carried out by scientists from government, involving scientists from industries, consumers, even retailers' body. It's an interactive process where all scientific logic, arguments are used to reach a conclusion. And all conclusion, all decisions are transparently put on website for everyone's review and objections. So currently all these 27 pesticides under this draft ban orders are legally registered in India by satisfying all the data requirement by government. The review was haphazardly initiated by WAMA committee, which was actually formed to just review neonicotinoids effects on honeybees. In just 5 meetings, review was completed without any transparency, not even involving stakeholders like the pesticide manufacturing companies, the users, farmer bodies. The review report, which is used by government to ban this 27 pesticides, is kept confidential till today by government, due to which stakeholders are unable to understand the critical reasons of banning and respond very meaningfully to the reasoning. So as at Agrocare, we have requested Government of India to keep the implementation of the draft ban order in abeyance until the transparent scientific review procedure involving all the stakeholders is followed. We have made a table comparing pesticide review systems followed by US EPA and EU EFSA, and the way Indian review was carried out, highlighting the glaring anomalies observed. Please write to PMFAI office and they will send you this comparison table, which gives a very clear idea that what everybody is saying, why it is not transparent, why it is unfair. Thank you for your patience listening. Over to you, Nimesh.
Thank you, Mr. Sameer. You gave us a holistic picture of how the global industries and the manufacturers are looking at India, and how can Agrocare help, and how are you advocating the issue on a global level. We have still not received a confirmation of Mr. Malhotra's joining. Before that, let us summarize the conference, since every speaker has given his perspective on the regulatory front, on the industries front, how the global market perceives us, and if there are any discrepancies in between. I would like to highlight here that Dr. Ajit Kumar gave a very detailed historical background of the proposed ban of the pesticides and the role of vested interests of NGOs behind the whole issue. Dr. Ajit also raised very pertinent question about the validity of the government's order and its sanctity. Mr. Pradeep Dave, adding on to the issue, have clearly sketched a picture that this draft order will definitely impact the farmers. Also will give a strong dent in the domestic as well as the export market. From seeing the domestic perspective, Mr. Rajesh Agrawal gave a complete background of how the chemical industry will be affected. And the chemical industry is still with the government on providing each data that has been asked for and is ready for a joint study as well on if required. So this gives us a lot of transparency from the industry as well. And the government and the industry have to work cohesively towards getting through with this order and what will be the future roadmap. Dr. Mai also focused on, with his brief points, clearly sketching the roadmap. With this ban, 150 formulated products will be swapped off. The prices for the alternative molecules will be very high. The nation will be seeing downfall in the export also. The socio-economic study that needs to be done has not been conducted. The alternative chemistries has yet to be studied in India, and as of now, no trials have been done. If there is an alternate for the products that are being currently used in India, a new committee needs to be formed within this corridors of considering all the points, and we need to rethink totally again on the draft order that has come out. I would now like to thank all the speakers from the industry that have come on a very short notice. Thank you. We thank you, Dr. Sameer Dave, Mr. Sameer Dave. We thank all the eminent speakers who took out time and shared their views. Thank you, Dr. C.D. Mai, Mr. Pradeep Dave.
Nimish, the issue is very interesting that many of the industry people have really brought facts to there. But
Absolutely.
I think one very important thing they see, why pesticides are needed in agriculture management is basically because when you don't have any other option before control, I think pesticides are at the helm of affairs. For example, you take, for example, now a very severe attack of locust. Actually, if you see, locust has spoiled the entire thing now in Rajasthan, UP, and now it has Madhya Pradesh. It has recorded in Maharashtra also. So now, what is the other alternative? Can you do something like botanicals, or can you do something with zero budget farming, organic farming? You will have to kill them. There is no other alternative. So I think there are large number of problems which are likely to emerge in the new agriculture, which should be focused. For example, fall armyworm. Fall armyworm has already invaded now Makkah in almost every area. Abhi Maharashtra mein there is a serious problem of fall armyworm. Madhya Pradesh mein hai. Last time we did a lot of work throughout the country to explain to the people what is fall armyworm. So my point is that such pests which are exotic, sometimes they come in attack. So you need very effective pesticides, and farmers have no other choice. So when you summarize these things, kindly bring this into the notice of the people. And I think what Ajit Kumar has very rightly said, we should counter every part. What reasons they have given for ban? They should be countered properly. What are the reasons for ban for each product? I think that counter must be given properly, so that the government cannot do anything else, but they appoint a separate committee really to look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mai. We have taken each of the crucial points for consideration. In fact, Krashak Jagat will be publishing and doing its detailed reporting at the end of the conference, and we'll be taking up with the issue. And we have been taking this issue for the past few months now. We hope today's conference brought out necessary outlook of the industry's perspective on the draft order. We hope the discussion today helped the crop production industry to maneuver through the situation. Mr. Malhotra couldn't join in as of now, so we lack that government perspective, still lacks in the total, giving it a total perspective. We hope we can create another platform which tries to bring in more of the government perspective and the industry together and could have a good discussion so that the whole industry and the farmer perspective can be brought in together. Thank you everyone for joining in. I thank all the eminent users, eminent guests today, speakers today, Dr. C.D. Mai, Mr. Pradeep Dave, Dr. Rajit Kumar, Mr. Rajesh Agrawal, Mr. Sameer Dave for joining in. We can close the discussion on the note that we have taken all the crucial points and we will be pursuing this issue ahead